Hello there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, Pajama Grandma. I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes about something you may or may not even realize you have, something you may or may not have even considered or thought about, because it's something that is so inherent in your being. You just naturally are awesome at it, and other people see it in you and realize that you have it, but you might not realize that you do. And it's your superpower. We all, every human being on this planet, has something that they are uniquely fantastic at, super at. And since this is about supersizing your business, of course, we want to talk about how you do that, how you actually do that. And how you do that, number one, is by being you. And number two is by understanding and knowing what your strengths and superpowers and areas of genius or zone of genius or whatever anybody wants to call it. There have been tons of books and tons of things written about this topic of what's your superpower, what are you good at? Because growing up in corporate America and school and everywhere else, we are barraged with the force of being average. I don't know if anybody else has felt that, but usually as business owners, we know we're not average. We know we're here to do something more in our lives and in the world, and we actually take the step and go out and do that. So we know there's something that we're awesome at or that we're good at and that makes us unique and special, but we don't always recognize it and pay attention to it. And part of what's going to make your business stand out and what you do stand out from everyone else in the world, because there's probably nothing that you and your business does that there aren't at least 1,000 other people doing something similar. And the only way that you're going to differentiate yourself and supersize your business and stand out in the crowd and serve the most people is by being you. And that's got to be based on your strengths. So much of what I was taught over the years always pointed out our weaknesses, things that we did wrong. Think about school. In school, whenever you had a test, what did it come back with? Big red check marks of the questions that you got the answers wrong, right? How'd that make you feel? I mean, I remember seeing those, and whenever I'd see a red check, I got this whole negative association with red checks because that means it's wrong, right? So we're inundated from a really and exposed to and indoctrinated from a really young age to focus on what we do wrong. And hopefully along the way you learned that when you got something wrong, you learned from your mistakes, you would go back, you would see the correct answer, and then the correct answer would be programmed in your brain and you would never have to make that mistake again. That's what I did. I don't think I did it my first few years of school, but at some point that clicked and I realized, oh, that's how I really learn stuff. If I look at what the teacher said I got wrong and I remember and I go back and I check and I learn the right answers for those things, now I know the right answers, and that's programmed in my brain versus the wrong answers, which were programmed in my brain, obviously, in the first place. So everybody doesn't approach life that way, but most of us that are business owners do. But my whole thing is corporate America, the same thing. Performance appraisals, and I used to have to do thousands of them. I had some really big departments and people reporting to me over my corporate career, and I always wanted to be the one to do the performance appraisals because I think most organizations do them wrong. They do a disservice to the people in their organizations, and they forget that human beings are their most valuable resource, and they don't treat them as such. Most of the organizations I worked for didn't. They had the traditional, here's the form you have to fill out, telling somebody everything they're doing wrong so that we can give them the minimum raise that will keep them here working for us and keep them feeling like they're stuck so that they never go to the competition or somewhere else or do something better for them with their life. So that's kind of the whole corporate philosophy. And I always did just the opposite of that. I'm like a contrarian, even in corporate America. And I always focus on what people were doing right and how they could build on that strength, not fix what other people judged as was wrong or broken or not a strength for them. Because the truth is, we will get a lot more out of focusing on what we're awesome at, and that will make a bigger positive impact on the world than ever trying to improve or fix anything that someone else outside of us judges as being wrong. So, what is your superpower? I want you to put hashtag superpower in the comments below after you have done this and identified your superpower. If you don't know what your superpower is, if you haven't really ever thought about it, there's a couple ways to figure out what it is. Number one, get out a piece of paper and start writing down all the things you love to do. Because there's a difference between the things you love to do and the things that you're good at or the things that you're proficient at. I love to cook. I love to cook. It's creative. It's an outlet for me. I love to cook. I'm proficient at it. So some things will be both. And I had a food business. I had several food businesses because that all tied together for me. And actually, of the businesses that I've run in my life, some of the most successful ones always involved something that I loved to do because that's one of my superpowers. Cooking is one of my superpowers. I have weird skills around cooking that people just laugh at, but it comes to me so naturally that that's how I know it's one of my superpowers. And I always thought that everybody could cook, but I've got so many relatives that absolutely, I have an aunt and a cousin. They don't cook at all. They've raised families. I don't know how their kids live because they do not cook anything. It's amazing to me that people can get through life. And I guess there's a huge part of the population that doesn't cook. But since I always loved cooking, I just thought everybody else did too. And so a list of the things like that you just love to do and other people take for granted because it comes, and you take for granted because it comes naturally for you, but other people ask you questions about it. Other people see it in you and you don't see it in yourself. So if you're having a hard time making that list, just ask a couple people around you, hey, what am I really good at? What do you think I'm awesome at? What do you think I can do that, everybody doesn't do naturally? Ask other people for help if you're having a hard time coming up with that list. But just start brainstorming a list, and I want to see you do a list of at least 20 things that you're awesome at. And really, I want to say make a list of 100 things because I guarantee there's 100 things that you're awesome at. Now, love to do in one column, awesome at in another column, and then see how many of those things overlap. And then ask yourself, am I doing those things in my business right now? And then how much of my time am I spending in my current business and my current occupation in activities on this list? Excuse me. I definitely have a tickle in my throat this morning. So that's it. I want you to think about your superpower because we all have one. We all are awesome at things that we don't even know we're awesome at. So go through that process. After you've done it and you've identified and you're sure about what is your number one, biggest, the best, most valuable superpower, put hashtag superpower in the comments below, and then you can move on to the next step in the scavenger hunt. Because when you put comment or hashtag superpower in the comments below, we will send you the clue and the answer, because everybody wants the right answer to this step of the scavenger hunt. That's it. Go out, make it an awesome day, and I will see you tomorrow or whenever you go to the next step of the scavenger hunt. Pajama Grandma out.